Hi, this is Ken Adams, and welcome to this week's edition of The Valley View. And joining me this week is Che Guevara and Adrianne Miller, and they've been working on a book which is basically Martine's story about being Che Guevara's nephew. And welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And, you know, I found this a very interesting subject, and so I couldn't resist asking you to come on and talk a little bit about your life, what led you to write this book. And so maybe you could kind of enlighten us about why you decided to write the book at this time.
Yes, I always say that books I lived before, always the books in different parts of my life. And so then suddenly one day appeared the necessity, I need to put it out in a book. And in my way to expression is better than the words, because speaking or maybe sometimes I speak less and sometimes more, but writing I write the correct that I want to say and that I want to say. And now was the time because the fact of the internet and the new technologies made it possible that we met 4 years ago or 5 years ago.
About 3.5, yeah.
Yeah,
Almost
3.5. I received a chat in the Facebook, and so we start a relationship, and suppose I am a nephew, a son of the younger brother of Che Guevara, and she, Adrianne, is daughter of a prisoner politics of my uncle Che Guevara and Fidel Castro. And we met putting apart all that stuff of, ideologies and enemies and history. Yes, but history of my parents, sometimes history of the family, the roots, put people divided. Now, we are watching now, nowadays, between Palestinian and Israel, they cannot resolve their problems. We have to try to resolve the problems, the ancient differences, and make a better world. So, we met in an idea. I wanted to write about my years in Cuba, the years of when I arrived to Cuba when I was 10 years old, and I felt the heavy load of the family, the fame of my uncle, the finger telling me you have to be a good revolutionary, and in my imagination, of course, and she's the translator of the work, but as well the other hand, in the same work.
It was really important to me to collaborate with Martine precisely because part of what he said is also very important to me, and that is that our history doesn't have to shape our future. And for us to come together for this work was an offering of peace to two ideologies that really were not supposed to meet. So there was some resistance to this from the exile community in Miami towards my being involved with the Guevara and doing a book. But it was so important to send the message that if we communicate and if we can come to whatever agreements we can come to, we can all work together for the betterment.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because
society.
In my family we have that kind of divergence as well, because my mother is Irish Catholic and my father was Irish Protestant.
Wow.
So, it took them a while to, kind of come to, a place where they could kind of do things, and I was kind of fortunate since I was the eldest, they hadn't quite settled that. And so, so I kind of got, free reign. But like my brothers and sisters, by that time, they had kind of established how they wanted to, run the family and like that. But it's kind of the same thing. It's like you have to kind of, okay, so this is what's been passed down by history, but it doesn't mean you have to continue that history.
Yes,
Exactly.
yes. In fact, actually, to 2 months ago, I went to Ireland, to Galway, in the west coast, because the father or the grandfather of my grandfather was Lynch, Patrick Lynch and Blake, and he went to Argentina and found a family, a big one family, and now this year was the gathering, the reunion of different Irish families from United States. There went a lot of people. I guess that even from your family, and we did a mass, a Catholic mass, in a church, in a Protestant church. There was an example of, and there were the two priests, the Catholic and the Protestant, and they were make friends, and the reunion has the spirit of the. But that was in Galway, and I went 9 years ago to Belfast and walked away in the narrow streets that in this side, in the left side, live the Catholics, very poor people, and in the right side, the Protestant of the Order of Orange. Yes. And the windows are covered with metal, and bars, more than bars, metal, because very often, pam, pim, pam, they
Yeah, and if we're going to get along, we have to get past that. And leave those things behind us. So you came to Cuba when you were 10 years old?
10 years old.
And what brought you to Cuba? I mean, your parents, I assume, brought you to Cuba, but what made them come? Was it because of Che, or were they, what was the situation?
Yes, because in Argentina, I went to Cuba in 1973, because my father they want to come back to Argentina to have militancia política.
Yeah, they basically wanted to change the system in Argentina, and went to Cuba to train to then go back to Argentina. Martin went under the guise of you're going on vacation.
Going to vacation.
And had no idea that he would never really go back home. So that was a very painful time for him. Also the time when he discovered his uncle was his uncle.
Yes, yes. In the same day that I arrived to Argentina, when 10 years old, I discovered.
To Cuba.
People tell me, my family tell me that I had a famous uncle that he died 5 years ago in 1978. Because when I live in Argentina, nobody talk about my uncle Che Guevara, because it was very dangerous that we in the school speaking about Che Guevara in Argentina. Yes. Was not a very often change democratic system and dictatorial system each 2 years and 2 years and a half, and that was very dangerous that we go around speaking about communism or socialism or revolution, and my parents and the parents of my cousins don't tell nothing to us. When we arrived to Cuba,
that was a big deal.
Yes, and I was a reader of Tarzan, Sandokan of Emilio Salgari, the big one heroes, Batman of the comics, and when I realized that I had an uncle like Tarzan, like a Batman, like Robin
a big
Hood.
Hero.
Robin, yeah, big hero. I went really happy, really glad, but sad, because the news is that he died 5 years ago. Before.
That was Bolivia.
And Bolivia.
Yeah. So you get into Cuba, and you're a young man, but there's certain expectations of you. And does that lead to problems? What kind of problems?
That kind of problem. No, when I was 10 years old, and I think that everybody when they're 10 years old, they want to, boys and children want to play and learning to be a teenager and then a young man and then an adult. But I received a lot of ideology in my mind suddenly, a lot, like a ton of ideology in my mind and information of Lenin, Marx, and this is the society for the future. This is the society where everybody will be in comfort and in the same level, high level of high quality of life, and the future will be the communists in the whole world. Even in the United States, they realized that the capitalism is very bad, and someday
Socialism will take over.
And no, in the fact, in the theory was very, very good because they never say nothing about suffering, about lack of product, about lack of freedom. No, it's
just going to be heaven on earth.
And I realize each day that the speech were for one road and the reality in other road, because I lived in a hotel, Hilton, the Hilton Hotel. Hilton, when the revolution arrives, gets Hotel Habana Libre. The Hotel Habana Hilton. Yeah. Hotel Habana Libre.
So it went from Hilton to
Liberty.
To free Havana.
Free Havana. And we lived there with a lot of privileges, and different, very quite different as the people in Cuba, my friends in the school, they lived, the food, the clothes, I don't know, the comfort.
I think for Martin, the contrast between what he was living with several restaurants on site, being able to have access to any product they wanted, and basically living in luxury, and then going to a school where his classmates hadn't had ham, maybe ever, and didn't have the food that he was used to, didn't have the clothes that he had. He was very sensitive, and he immediately became uncomfortable with that difference and began to question, okay, they're saying that everyone is going to be equal, but equal to whom and equal to what? Exactly.
Well, yeah, it wasn't exactly equal.
Very dissonant.
Yeah. And so that led to problems, or it just kind of built in you that there's a problem here, and what is going to address that?
Mm-hmm.
Que si eso fue lo que te hizo ver las cosas y que cómo reaccionaste, ¿qué fue tu reacción?
Yes, I think that, so excuse me, sorry, but because I understand some words and some not good. That's the reason, because she is translator.
Well, we have to translate, yes.
And yes, was little by little, not in suddenly, and I refuse that kind of lies all my life. I don't matter if you are black or white or green or red, but show me the color that you are, and I will agree with you or not, but everybody will be in peace, because we can decide, oh, you like this, I like this as well, we go together. I don't like it as well, I cross the street and everything okay. But they went into the hypocrisy, constant hypocrisy all the time. The communism is like the Middle Age and the Catholicism. It's the same thing. Do what I say, but never what I do. And
I can identify with that, because I mean that's quite often, I think, what happened to my generation with Vietnam, is that like they're talking one way and doing something else, and that is very upsetting, because it makes you kind of open your eyes and say, what is going on here? You know, what is the reality here? And so you had kind of a similar kind of situation, but from like a different point of view.
And particularly because he was expected to grow up not only to buy this philosophy, but to live it and to be an example to others. You know, what is it like to be a revolutionary? You will become like Che. Every morning in school, that would be something that all the kids said, and of course particularly hit home with him.
Okay, so in the classroom, the kids, your classmates are all being told that you need to be like Che and Fidel. And like
that is the way they saluted every morning as the day
Okay.
began, was, we will be like Che.
Every morning, you have to say, pioneers with the pioneer for the communism, we will like Che. We will like Che. It's like you know, a sentence in every morning in the same time that people salute the flag and all the stuff. And then the way that I refused that was in the classic rebel of the young teenagers, listening rock and roll, don't want to study, long hair, dirty clothes.
This is bringing back
alcohol,
memories for me too.
You know? But in this system, you can do that and be a good or a bad boy, but you have some place to do that. There, to me, the government say, Martin, you cannot do that because it's a bad example for the other guys that they expected that the nephew of Che Guevara is a clean, the haircut, and the revolutionary, good student, all that stuff. And it makes me do more aggressive with my decision to be against the system, but not against like political, ¿cómo se llama lo que hay ahora? Los dissident. No like a dissident in the political, because, for example, my anger was I really had the feeling of the revolutionary feeling, the socialist feeling, not the capitalist feeling or imperialist. I wanted to read, for example, Trotsky, Leon Trotsky, or Gramsci, men, people that was, person that was the theory of the communists, the anarchists, and were provided. Not allowed to read that in Cuba. Was not allowed to read the only Marx, Engels, Lenin, and a few other writers. And
but no Trotsky.
Not Trotsky.
Okay.
No Leon Trotsky. No Leon Trotsky. No Gramsci. No a lot of others. And that's the reason, because when, for example, Lech Walesa and the Solidaridad in Poland, the USSR and Fidel say to the population that they were a bunch of CIA people. Mm-hmm. No, 1 million. 1 million CIA in Poland.
Yeah, but that was similar in the aspect that, like, they had gotten fed up with not having things, of working very hard and not really getting anything out of it. And to me, that's what the reaction was, is that you can't keep people in line by just promising them. You have to show some results at some point. And so that kind of came out, and then they were trying to say that they were CIA as a result. Mm. So now you're about 15 or so at this point?
15 years old, 16 years old. And I decided to be more aggressive in my way to turn. But in the book, I write about myself about every young man, every man that feels the weight of something and the strong and the fight to put it out and to feel free and to rehab because when you fall down you fall very 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 deep and then it's very hard to come back to the surface and the other side of the same coin that I write in the book is the panorama, the view, the landscape of the Havana that I live, the time that I live. A very odd, a very weird country because it's a beautiful country, plenty of smells, colors, sensations, people, everybody touching you, laughing all the time. Everything is a joke, and in the other side, very sad. A lot of crazy people, alcoholism, because it's very hard to support to live with hypocrisy every time. Yeah. Now 55 years, but when I lived 30 years, it's very difficult and. The message is the final message is not a complaint all my life or complain in the Cuban poor people. No. It's that in the same way that we do that, we did our meeting and our work to do together the book. The Cuban people in Miami can shake the hands with Cuban people in Havana, Cuba. In Cuba, and make a country together, forgetting the differences, because difference everybody we have differences, but differences is a fake different. The ideology is not real, and you have to shake the hand of the other person and not ask nothing about the kind of politics, the kind of vote. No, that's nothing. Look your eyes, their eyes, share a dinner, smell how it smells, and maybe your brother is from another party. I have a lot of friends that I don't know nothing about their ideology, but when I realize their ideology is against is different, very different of me. But I love like human beings, and that is the what I want with the book. It seems like a stupid thing, peace, love. No, but this today is more alive than ever. Peace and love overall. We have to understand.
An ideology gets in the way of people working together, because we can all agree that we need to improve things, and like we might have different ways of getting there, but we really need to look at what's working. What helps us get to where we want to be. And that ideology, that I don't care what side you're on, leads to problems, because you don't have all the answers. You've got to experience life to see how things are going to work out. And you got to keep your eyes open so that you can recognize when something is working, even if you didn't think it was going to work. I mean, that's how I see it, But we should mention the name of the book, which is Shadow of the Myth.
Shadow of the Myth.
And you're the translator, Adrianne.
It's Shadow of a Myth, and I translated the book, and it has been quite an experience for me, because what Martin lived, he lived 10 years after I left. And when Castro came in, it truly was a reign of terror for the people. And it was not what we had expected. The promises were that he would return to the Constitution of the 1940s and have free elections, and now we're going It's been over half a century since
Right.
we have had that happen. So the Cubans that are in Miami came to Miami at a time where they were being persecuted, not so much by Fidel himself, but also by our own people. And so the difficulty in coming back together is that the Cubans in Miami are going to be returning to the people who imprisoned them, to the people who caused them harm. So it's not a simple solution,
Right.
but we have to make it a simple solution for it to work, or we're going to again experience the murders and the retaliations.
So we need to
and
take
we
small
continue
steps to get back to.
small steps.
Right. And you know, you're going to be making some public appearances here in Salem.
Yes.
And now I know you're going to be at the Book Bin East on July 25th.
Correct.
And that's at 7 p.m. And you're also going to be doing another event?
We're going to be at Cubanissimo Winery here in Salem, and we're going to be doing an event there on August the 9th, and it's going to be from 6:30 to 8.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to make sure we got that information out.
Thank you.
But I guess the way I'd like to kind of wrap up is, you know, because we've talked about what you've learned from this, but I mean, what is, in going forward, now you currently live in Spain and you're quite happy there, but what would you like to see happen with Cuba today?
Cuba have, I think that Cuba has the possibility that any other country around the world have the same possibility to Cuba in the future, because they have the possibility to choose a new kind of society, taking part, watching the experience of the USSR, experience of Poland, the experience of China, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, and the Occidental Europe and the United States, the capitalism and socialism, what happens with their promises, with different promises. And take the better of, for example, to do a kind of system that allow to be the people improve all that the people want in the economic and the social and the cultural expectations and desires, but they can take the good one from the socialists. They not allow poor people. They not allow misery.
Well, that's a good place to end it, and I'm sorry we don't have more time.
Okay.
But this has been The Valley View with Ken Adams, joined by Martín Guevara and Adrianne Miller. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.